So what I find is that a lot of people don't recognize when the actual sale starts, and it starts sooner than a lot of people think. So in my own businesses, I used to always think that, look, there's going to be a marketing side, there's going to be a sales side. And when the marketing bring the customer in, then it's up to the salesperson to take them through a sales process, and it's going to take them, to a place where they need to either say yes or no. Yeah, the close, the conversion of that sale. But reality is when does the person decide when they're going to say yes or no? And that can be throughout the whole process. So even though there's a process and the end determined factor of the sale is that person saying yes or no to when they actually want the product or the service or the start date. There's so many times that the actual skill is that there's so many times that people can actually move that date and go, yeah, yeah, we're going to do it, but I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. And guess what? The longer people wait after that conversation, the less excited they're ever going to get around that product or service. So having somebody in that closing seat is really important because the closer has got to position throughout the conversation all these objections that could be going on, all these things that are coming up that could be an objection or could delay the actual sale needs to be handled by that person. Now, that person has got one job. That person's job is to make sure that that is signed on the dotted line and the can is not kicked down the street. However, where a lot of companies go wrong and a lot of salespeople go wrong, and especially high income earners, and what they do right is that they understand the seat that they sit in. They understand that at that point, there is going to be a decision. The determining factor, the constraint in that firm will be if that person says yes or no, or even if the response is yes, but I just need to go away and speak to the partner, or I need to go away and, I need a bit more time. That is still not a yes. So that person who is in that seat, whose job it is to close part of the process within a firm, that is their job to make sure that they handle those objections. Now, that isn't the same as generating a lead. You see, determine the factor here, determine the difference. If it is a lead generation activity, then it is marketing. Okay. That is marketing. Now, somebody who's in sales, just because they're good at getting the yes or the no and closing people down, I don't like the word closing people down, but you know what I mean, getting someone to make an informed decision, that is a closing skill. And if their job is to also do the marketing and generate leads, then you got a problem because that as that firm starts to scale, then somebody who's good at generating leads and networking aren't always the best at closing as well. So as you start to scale and start to build your sales team, if this is for managers and entrepreneurs, and this is me sharing my own journey, for example, having somebody whose job it is to get paid a commission to bring in people in as well, a marketing job, isn't always going to be the best solution if you've got somebody doing a marketing job and a sales job. So a lot of firms that I've noticed over the last 15 years, 20 years of scaling businesses is that they will leave marketing to somebody who just fucks about on social media or, creates a few videos, creates a bit of content. That isn't marketing. What marketing is any activity that generates a lead. So having that distinction between the two is going to be critical. It's going to be critical for you because you don't want the wrong people in the wrong seats. Have the aces in their places. And to have an ace in their place means that everybody is doing the right thing with the right resources that they've got and are held accountable to it as well. So you wouldn't hire somebody into a firm and you wouldn't expect to also get paid for it as well if you are the person who's doing the role, if you're not really clear on how you win. So having someone doing a multiple role, you wouldn't have somebody who's your accountant, for example, going and creating, let's say you made widgets. You wouldn't want your accountant to also go out there and start making widgets. You would want the accountant to sit in the accounting seat and do the accounting work. Okay. So why would you have somebody as well as your business starts to scale, have somebody in two different seats where they're a little bit confused whether they are a closer, somebody in the sales. And by the way, definition of sales is if there is a yes or a no at the end, then it needs a sales, closing the door. And then somebody in marketing generating the lead is opening the door. So open the door, close the sale. Two different things here. Now, I know some businesses may say, look, then we have a BDM. A BDM. A BDM is a lazy definition for somebody who just does a bit of fucking everything. Let's be honest, right? Now, the true businesses that scale understand what is somebody's strength that we're hiring them for. Is this person a closer? And if they're a closer, only have them in conversations where there's a yes or no thing at the end, or where there could be a constraint or a problem where there's going to be an objection, because this person will understand that. Now, a marketer, they aren't just the definition of marketer a lot of businesses have is this person is just going to go on social media, like I say, and create a lot of, awareness and, start to educate the different people online and why they should start to work with you and create the consistency. Yeah, there is all that as well. But the true role of a marketer, their number one performance indicator, and if you are a marketer, listen to this as well, is to understand this, is to generate a lead. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do it online or digital. It doesn't mean that you have to start a YouTube channel. It doesn't mean you need to start a podcast. Yes, it would fucking help, but think about it. What is the reality of actually having a YouTube channel and a podcast? Is it to actually generate the lead, or is it to also assist with when it gets to that sale, then the closer can utilize all the things that you've put out there to help them close? So marketing and the sales have to be communicating. They can't be separated either, because the objections that are coming up from the salesperson needs to feed back into these are the key things that we need to start positioning once we've got someone's attention. Because when it comes to the close at the end, it's going to make the closer person job a lot easier if they're already aware of it. So where does the sale actually start to happen? It's in the marketing. So the marketing isn't just generating leads, it's also selling. So the definition between the two then is that you have got a lead generator and you have got a closer, but really marketing and sales is kind of the same thing. It is all the same thing underneath one umbrella. So what do you need to do differently to actually make sure that this works? Now, the danger is if you've got somebody in marketing, they can go, hey, that's not my fucking job. I'm not the person that needs to be making the call and talking with people. Yes, it is. Because sometimes outbound calling and phone calling or going out there and networking, knocking on doors, no matter what it is, that's a marketer's job. You are generating a lead. You are outbound marketing. Okay. Now, some people may argue that, well, I've got a lot of customers. I'll just go and take care of them. Well, a customer is the person that brings a lead in. The lead, you got to understand as well, is the lead the customer or is it the work they're giving you? So a customer could bring you 10 leads of different things that could come in, 10 different transactions. So the definition here, where a lot of firms will get confused, is that, yes, you nurture the customer, but the customer wasn't the lead. The job is the lead, and then you're converting each job. Now, it becomes a lot easier if you think of it like this. If you've got a bird with a nest, they are the customer, but the lead is the egg. So a lifetime value of making sure that that bird doesn't fuck off next winter is key, because every firm nobody is always ready to buy a product. Okay. Whether it's a fast transactional product, let's say a weight loss product that people need to order every 30 days, then there will be the end of the month where you will have them on board, they're making a transaction. And then there's the middle of the month where they don't do anything. So there's almost like a season, a winter and a summer, winter and a summer, winter and a summer. Now, a bigger, larger firm could be a construction company. It could be a 10-year project. And they may only place and get really busy with you in the first year, and then they might go quiet. And then in the next 10 years, there might be something else. The key here is that there's the lifetime value of looking after that bird and that nest. And they will give you lots of jobs. If they only give you one job and you treat the lead as though it's the one customer, then you're not the marketer and the salesperson well, ultimately the marketer, after the conversation we just had, that marketer's job now isn't to just keep going out there and posting loads of shit on social media. It's to making sure that that nest is also aware and consistently aware that you, as the provider of the service or the product, is ready for them when they are ready, whether it be the 30-day weight loss product or whether it be the 10-year construction project. Because if you think of a construction company, they may go to work on one project that's so big it takes them 10 years, but they tend to have lots of different jobs going on at the same time. However, that customer may not be the decision maker for the projects. And this is where the problem is if you treat the lead as the customer, you say, hey, yes, we converted the customer and the customer is on board. No, it is the jobs that they give you that you need to convert. And that is where the big shift needs to happen. Because if you do that, that person is not aware. You think that your marketing job is over just because you have a big customer. Now, if that customer only orders once a year, maybe that customer maybe have a network of people within them or out of their business, i.e. referrals, that person could give you more jobs for. So just saying that you're converting a customer isn't good enough, is what I'm pointing out here. It's not good enough. Every customer that comes to you should be bringing you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 jobs. Yeah, they should be bringing you more. So that means that you don't just need to market to them once. Your job is not done when that customer is converted. The job is done every time that you convert. So marketers, listen up. Yeah, we talk about sales drive in here. This is a key thing. And if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you need to drill this into your marketing team. You see, marketers may be just doing level 1, which would be what every other fucking company is doing, posting a few things on social media, right? Then level 2 is start doing some email campaigns. Level 3, that's where it stops. Well, I'll do email campaigns and then I'll just do some social media stuff. What else should I do, Lewis? That's my job. No, your job is not completed until you're getting leads consistently. And that means it could come from one customer, one big nest, right? That customer, what sort of options have you got? The customer may have other jobs. They may have other departments where other jobs are needed. They may have friends and family that are also in the same sort of area. They may have other people that they work with and other contracts and other sort of things that are coming on. For instance, if it's a 30-day weight loss product, then guess what? The easiest sale to make is the ones that have already bought. Now, the ones that have already bought can also give you great referrals as well. So what is the point of all this then? The sale is not just made at the end. The sale is made throughout the whole process. So if you are in control of that sales process, or it is your business, what I do in my firms is to make sure there's a solid process where the marketer is clear that they are responsible for lead generation. And that lead generation can come from multiple places, including existing customers. Now, the danger is the traditional thought that marketing needs to come from new people because you have to convert a new customer. Bullshit. Marketing comes from the people that you're already working with currently as well. That is the low-hanging fruit. And just by listening to this one podcast, and do share it with somebody else that really needs to hear this, by the way, listening to this one podcast will make you a lot more money because you're going to be serving people that already like you or dealt with you. And by the way, this is built on the foundations that you've already do a good job. So if you're not doing a good job, you need to rewind and look at your problems and improvements log. What's that? Okay, that's another podcast. We'll talk about that stuff as well. If you need to, just reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can go deeper on your operational stuff as well. But this is about sales. Sales comes from the sale is made when the person first made contact with them. It starts in the marketing. How is it being positioned? Are you actually positioning it all the way through that, look, this marketing strategy isn't just to get more customers and go, hey, happy days. People will say they're working with you and they don't actually send you an order. Okay. So the reality is that the marketer's job starts from the start. The sale starts from the second that it goes and lands on that marketer's desk. They need to be thinking about not just how do they help that closer, educate that person on that whole process, to actually get in that sale at the end, so it's easier for the closer to say yes or no. And if you've got a player closer in that business that knows what they're doing and come across trustworthy, and they have, bear in mind as well, they have to have the client's best interest in mind as well as the business and their self. Then if all those things are true, that it's got the client in mind and their results, it's got the businesses in mind and their results, and it's got the A players mind in place and their results as well, then logically that should be a great decision to have. The only gap that will cost you that sale is if you haven't educated them properly in those conversations that the salesperson is having, and the marketer hasn't educated it properly too. So where does the sale begin? It starts with the marketer. And the reason this is so key is because there's so many people out there that don't recognize this. They're missing a trick. They're missing a key. If this is not used and utilized properly with the correct process from start to finish of how you take a customer on a journey from the second that they fucking type your name in Google, then, and that's another department, isn't it? The online stuff as well. There's so much more stuff I could speak about there. But that's for another episode. Today, I just want you to get this. Sales start from the marketing. They start from the start. And it's not just about the customer that you're trying to sell to. It is the job. It is the actual activity. And if you've got a customer that is working with you, I mean, I use service-based products all the time, with VA, editors, etc. They need to make sure that sale it's not an onboard sale and Lewis is converted, for example. What they need to do is make sure that there's a sale every month. So what happens then? How do they do that? Well, their marketing keeps me excited. Their sales and their operations keeps me serviced and excited as well. And when that starts to die off and it doesn't align to my goals anymore, then guess what? Then you look for somebody else that does. So it's key within, even if you have a customer right now, you're having these monthly or quarterly reviews to ensure that your goals and their goals are all aligned, so you're all in a win-win situation more often. Because if you don't have the conversations and you don't have the right script and the right process to take people to, two things will happen. One, they won't even tell you fucking about it anyway. They'll just go somewhere else. And number two, they won't see the value in having these meetings in the first place if it's not positioned properly. So always make sure that you're doing all these things that we spoke about in this podcast to get your customer to be aware of the things that you do. And here's another thing as well. A personal story of mine is that when we were selling a product to somebody, we worked with somebody for like 5 years, maybe even longer than that, 5 years. And when we spoke about like a product that we'd been selling even longer than the product they were buying, they went, "Oh, never even knew you did that." Now, whose fault is that? That is our fault. That is my business's fault. It's my fault that our marketing didn't position everything that we did. So there's another example. If someone is buying one service or product from you as well, most likely they will be in the market for the other stuff. They just don't recognize it yet. They're not aware of it, or they haven't been taught that this is really important and you should spot it. Okay. So what sort of things can you take from this podcast? Just make a mental note. If you're driving, this is the Sales Drive podcast that you need to listen to at the start of every day to get you pumped and fired to make more sales in the week. What is the mental note that you're going to take forward today? And don't go in there and just try and change all your business's systems, by the way. What can you do to take ownership? And yes, you should change the systems, but that isn't going to work just by going in there after one podcast. Get them to listen to the podcast. It will help. You don't need to go and repeat all this back. Just go, "Hey, got this podcast. Have a listen to this and give me your thoughts." And guess what? If we can increase your sales by just 10% from listening to one podcast, I'm on purpose. And if you increase your sales in that business, then guess what? You become more valuable too. And that is the overarching goal. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to share it with somebody else and save this for later if you think it's useful, and come back to it in the future. Catch you on the next episode.